Rise and start shining. A Breaking Chains podcast is here to inspire and motivate you to break the chains that bind you. Our goal is to help you achieve personal and professional growth by bringing insightful content, interviews, and stories that are geared towards increasing your awareness of self-worth and value. Join hosts Jeff Walsh and Aaron Ferguson as they take you on an experience that helps you achieve a new mindset, resulting in a life that explores and reaches its fullest potential. Change your mind, change your life. Let's go.
Aaron, we did it.
Hello.
We did it.
Number two.
Yes. I wanted to just say hello to our guest, say hello to everyone who's going to join us, and say thank you for spending this time with Aaron and I as we really launch our first show, our second show. Our first show was kind of,
our first.
Yeah, exactly. And today we're going to get into a few things, mainly about success. And we're going to discuss some things about success. Aaron, if you want to just kind of touch on that a little bit about what we're going to be talking about and go from there.
So I think we all want to achieve success in our life. And I think that success means different things to different people. And tonight we're just going to kind of take you on the journey of what success means, how to achieve it, daily habits that hopefully you can start doing to reach your goals. And really just kind of walk you through those things. It's going to be a great episode, so stay tuned. And Jeff actually has a really good story to tell you guys, so we're going to start with that, and then we'll get into it. How does that sound?
Yeah, so I've got the opposite of success today. All right, no, seriously. So I'm lucky to be here alive. It was really crazy for a minute, Aaron. So it was probably around 2 o'clock, and I decided I was gonna grill up some shiitake mushrooms and bake some beans, right? And so I put the olive oil in the pan on the stove, and I walked away for a second. And the olive oil got really hot, and I completely kind of spaced out. And I went into the restroom, and I came back out, and I was like, oh my God, I left the oil on the stove hot. It was really hot. And I'm like, all right, well, it wasn't doing much at the time. So I'm like, it's going to be all right. So I throw my frozen mushrooms in the pan.
With water, because they're frozen.
Yeah. All of a sudden, like all the oil. Listen, I'm not a cook, all right? Don't hold it against me. I'm not a cook. All the oil starts like sparking, and then I got my beans on the other side of the stove, so the sparks
they were popping.
Yeah, the sparks hit where it was hot.
Oh my God!
And boof! A huge flame, just like really big flame. Like,
oh my God!
The phoenix behind me.
Yeah.
So I panic. I'm like, holy shit! Like, oh my God, what's going on? So I almost thought, I'm like, my eye, like everything flashed. Like I was like, oh my God, this whole complex is going up in a second. Like that's how big the flame was. It was crazy. So luckily I kind of gained some sense, and I grabbed the pan, threw it in the sink, turned the water on. The fire alarms start going off.
Oy.
My heart is beating 100 miles an hour, and so I figured I had to tell someone that story. I figured, why not share it here? This story is not how to cook, right? This is how you do not cook.
I think it's so scary when something like that happens too, because you have to think so quickly. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and you don't, in a situation like that, you don't really know what's going to happen, because did you expect like that big explosion of fire, right? Like you didn't really expect something like that. You kind of thought it was just hot and you were going to deal with it and throw the shiitake mushrooms in and they'd fizzle and whatever, you know? So the fact that like something like that happens, and it is, like you said, like a split second, right?
Right.
It is crazy. Wait,
Right.
do you have sprinklers in your apartment? I'm shocked they didn't go off.
So I burn sage and Palo Santo in my apartment often. So I do often have to like go fan the smoke detector. But this time that went off and like a whole bunch of other alarms went off. I don't even know what was going off. Like it was really, because it was like you could smell, right? Like immediately. It was really, I mean, the flame engulfed the whole like area of the stove. So there was definitely something, but thank God I don't think there's sprinklers in here. I don't.
Yeah,
I would have
there
been
should be. I mean, there should be, but if you should definitely also possibly just like also and definitely get an extinguisher, especially if you're not like a chef per se.
Well,
no more exploding bean cans.
I think this goes into kind of.
But you'll cook again. Right?
Well, that's the
You're
thing.
You're going to get back at it.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, it goes into what we want to talk about today because, so that happened. I have smoke in my house, right? So what do? I get the fire out, right? I start fanning the smoke detector. So the smoke detectors, the alarms stop going off. I open all the doors and I start really, airing it out. And I look and everything's a mess, right? I've got oil everywhere. I've got like it's just a mess. And so for about 10 minutes after I dealt with like my heart pumping and realizing like, oh my God, how crazy, I decided to, clean everything up and I went right back at it, right? I cleaned the dishes. I cleaned all the oil. I cleaned everything. And then I went right back at it, put the oil back on the pan, put my beans back in, and you know what? They were excellent when it was done.
Yeah.
And so it was just, for me, it was just I used it to see like how things in my life have turned out so many times in my life where it's been a struggle or chaos has happened in my past. And I had a choice in my life to decide what was I going to do with that. Was I going to learn from it? Was I going to utilize it to now create the success and really the strength and the awareness that I learned from all that struggle and all of the failure, if you will, right? So now I learned from that. And it's the same thing with cooking today. I learned something.
Well, and I think that hits on something that's important to talk about when we are talking about success, which is learning. You never want to stop learning, and you never want to be the guy in the room who thinks he knows it all, because you don't. You never will. There will always be somebody who knows something more or different or whatever, and you should always want to learn, because in success and becoming successful, you're only as smart as like your next step. You know what I mean? So it's very important that you kind of brought this up, because it's all a learning experience, which is going to help aid you in your success in cooking, right? And if you take that into life and you take that into what you're trying to accomplish in life, you have to constantly learn. If you stop learning, then where is the room for growth? Because there isn't any, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because let's be honest, for us to be where we're at right now with our second show, we had to overcome like a lot of like struggles, right? Like last time we tried to go live, the technology wasn't perfect, right? It was kind of a debacle, and so I had to learn some of the technology things. I had, and we're still learning, right? This is our second show. Think about where we're going to be in 6 months. And it's the same thing with what I'm learning is that success really isn't about like that pinnacle point. Success is about how we show up every day and how we live in life, because every day, right, is a chance and an opportunity to live in joy and live in, for me, it's really about like really falling in love with life. And to me, that is what I've learned the most along this path. And it's like, okay, that happened, but I'm still going to really like walk in kind of like, I'm going to love the path. I'm going to love the journey. I'm going to enjoy the learning process. Because every day is a mountaintop day if we choose, in a lot of ways,
Right.
you know?
Absolutely. And you know, when I talk about learning, I'm not just saying like learning how to cook or this or that. I'm also talking about learning who you are. You know, I think that sometimes we get so stuck in this perception that we have of ourselves that we forget that we're constantly evolving, and we have to almost relearn who we are through the different steps in our journey as we go along. You know, sometimes people want to say, oh, well, he thinks this way, or he does that, and this is what he did 10 years ago, and that's the kind of person that he is. Well, no, it's not, because we're constantly evolving. So there are many core characteristics about a person that don't necessarily change. They won't change, whether it was because of the environment you were brought up in, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, you are always evolving and always changing, and you have to kind of relearn who you are and what is important to you and what you want to bring into your future as you continue on your journey. So learning is it covers a plethora of things when it comes to success, because the second you stop recognizing who you are, holding yourself accountable for the things that you've done or are doing, or setting goals or doing these things, then you're really failing yourself. So you want to constantly not only learn about all the different things that are involved in your core, what you're trying to do, but also with who you are and what's important to you and how you're going to reach your goals, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I don't know about you, Aaron, but I've learned everything already.
Oh yeah.
Like, listen, I've got every,
Genius.
I've got it all figured out.
Got it.
You know, it's crazy, right? The more I learn, the more I grow, the more I realize there's so much shit I don't know.
No.
You know, like and I've come to grips with like not even needing to know sometimes in certain aspects. Like for me, like the spiritual side of things, you know, I'm fairly spiritually minded, and you know what I've learned over the past.
You?
What's that?
I said you?
Yeah, not me. I mean, you know.
You are. And I love it. It brings a different awareness to my life when you bring some of the spiritual stuff into my life, and that opens up something to learn about myself even more. Like we're not only do we have to learn from ourselves and from different things, but we also have to learn from other people, right?
Wow.
So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
you know, what you bring to the table for a lot of people is important.
You know, you just said something that really sparked something in me. Is like, it's amazing when we start to see that everybody in our life is there to teach us.
Yeah.
You know, even the really difficult people, you know. Right? But
Who?
they're teaching us something always, right?
Right.
If we see it that way, we can see life. You know, like you said, I can't. You know, I bring some awareness to your life, or whatever it is, and I think we all do that if we're looking for that. You know, and,
Right.
and I think that's kind of like a magical awareness. Is, wow, this person, although they drive me nuts, or although they make me super happy, what, you know, they're also there to help me see stuff inside of me, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely, which brings it back to the core of this message of learning. Don't ever think you're the smartest guy in the room, because you're, whether you want to or not, there's a lesson right in front of you. You're either going to take it or you're going to leave it. But if you leave it, you're going to fail yourself every time.
Yeah.
So learning is a big, big part of the success process, and nobody has it fully figured out. You know what I mean? Nobody on this planet has it fully figured out. So don't waste your time on that. Don't try to fully figure it out. Go with it, continue to learn, and keep reaching for those goals, which is another thing is, you know, you can set goals, but you have to take action. And without an organized plan, right, you're always going to fall short. So you want to create your daily, weekly, monthly, yearly to-do lists and really organize your goals, because what's a priority and what's not, and how am I going to put this into action? We all have dreams, right? Like how many times have you said like, oh, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could go travel here, or I wish I could be, nicer to my kids, or I wish I didn't get so frustrated, or I wish I could, work out more. Well, that's great. Wishing is great. But unless you put a plan of action, all you're doing is dreaming.
Wow.
So it's really important to try to organize all of that and prioritize it. And you will be successful if you start to do those things and put a plan in action. You have to have an actionable plan.
Yeah. If you think, if there was one thing, what do you think one of the major reasons that people, and I think the other thing is we have to define success, but let's go here first. What do you think the one thing is that keeps people from I'm going to say living their dream?
I think there's a lot of things. I recently this year turned down something that was something that I have been very passionate about for a couple of years now. I turned it down, and what I kept telling myself is it was because of my kids. And there's a big reason that I would say that. My husband travels a lot. I lost both of my parents, so I don't have a lot of help when it comes to my kids. And just being that he travels a lot, I'm really the only parent around for them. But it also was a little bit of an excuse for me because I was scared to take that step. I was nervous to take that step and to put myself out there and to be seen and to be heard and to be recognized and to be judged by a lot of people as well. And so I took a step back. I decided not to go with it. And a lot of people would say that actually is what separates the successful from the not successful, is taking that leap and having faith in yourself and following through. And ever since then, I probably have gagged about 3 times every day because I didn't take that leap. Yeah. So I know that it's something it's going to weigh on me for a long time. And I just hope that opportunity is there, but you never knows. And if you do research success, a lot of people, the people who are very successful in life are the people who silenced the excuses, no matter what, figured it out, made it work, and took that leap. So yeah. I think it's more about excuses and being scared of a plethora of things than anything else, really. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to step in here as a life coach for a second, and
yes.
And you're, I would say to all my clients, you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now, right? So,
right.
So, it's interesting too because I think, as a single man and things like that, even with relationships and stuff like that, what I realize is that sometimes we let go of things because eventually they come back to us, right?
Right.
Like so sometimes, it just obviously wasn't the right timing, but I think that you hit on something really powerful, and it was really ultimately you can make the excuse, you can say this, but ultimately it's the fear of failure, right?
Absolutely. Hands down.
Yeah, it's the fear, because I was in the same boat going back a few months ago when I moved from New York to California to restart my life, to be near my children. And really, right. I left a really high paying, finance job in the car business. And I didn't really I was scared,
Yeah.
I was really scared because I was like, are people going to want to listen to what I have to say? Right. Are people even going to care what I have to say? Am I really that good at what I'm going to want to do, right? And so you have to face those fears and those challenges. And I think you said it right. I think success, I think I've heard, because I study a lot of the successful people now, right. because I want to create that same success in my life. But what you hear so many say, and what I'm experiencing in my own life, is that it's about looking at that fear, looking at the fear that's inside of you that says you're not good enough, you're not able, right. you're not this, you're not that, and saying, you know what, and pardon my French, but F you, screw off,
right.
I don't need you, and moving through that. And wow, where I'm at in my business right now, and the fact that we're on this podcast right now, and the influence that I'm beginning to have and the opportunities that are coming my way, I'm actually blown away. But it started with a lot of fear and a lot of struggle too.
Right, but you took that leap of faith. You said, I'm not going to allow this to stop me. I'm not going to allow myself to stop me. And I know you affirmed, I know you meditated, I know you did all of these things and worked out and everything and exercised and everything else. And I know that if not for that, you would have had an easier pathway to make excuses, but you didn't, because you took that leap of faith. And I think that's like a really big thing that everybody needs to hear is, if you're questioning doing something, take the excuses away, silence them, and really say to yourself, if I take this leap of faith, what does that mean for me? If I can do this tomorrow, what does that mean for me? How much is my life going to change? And am I willing to do that? And you know what? You may not be willing to, and that's okay too. Your success may be realizing that wasn't the right path for you at that time, right?
Right.
For me, it was hard. It's hard for me because the opportunity was one that I really don't know if it's going to come back around. And I may not want it to in the future. I just knew that right now there was a couple of excuses I was throwing into the mix. And that saddens me because I didn't take that leap of faith. So my advice with that is try to silence it and do things to help you reach the decision the right way. One of the things I mentioned is that, you meditate, you affirm and stuff like that. There's a couple of habits that very successful people do on a daily basis. One of them is when they wake up in the morning, they silence everything out. They don't ask questions. They don't ask themselves questions. They literally focus on what is positive, what am I going to do today, what am I going to accomplish, and not what they're saying, I am going to do this, I am going to accomplish this. They wake up early and then they exercise, and being healthy is wealthy. I think we all know that. And the major majority of very successful people, and I'm not talking like, thin and Kardashian. I'm talking about healthy.
Yeah.
The major majority of people who are very successful exercise every single day. And I took notes because I wanted to let you guys know this. Many of them do this prior to the start of their day. Exercise, which is something that I did a little research on this morning because, we all know the benefits, but I wanted everyone to kind of hear this out loud. It really helps you to clear your mind and gets you focused on the tasks of the day. Now, I know anytime that I work out, if I go on a walk, if I do my boxing, if I do my workout videos, Jillian Michaels, whoop, whatever I'm doing, my yoga, and I don't do enough of it, but that's another thing. It's like my mind explodes and I'm ready to take on every task, do everything, be a superhero mom and wife and friend and everything else. So it really does that. It also boosts your memory and thinking ability and releases endorphins that make you feel better and help you to concentrate, which is 100% true. And by increasing your heart rate, more oxygen is pumped into your brain. So it helps the body release all different kinds of hormones that help create a nourishing environment for the growth of brain cells. So, moral of the story really is exercise every day, do something every day, move every day, because it is going to help you to focus and silence and set your mind straight on what needs to be done. And I know you've been on a journey of health too. So you should probably let everybody know about that as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. So my morning routine right now is 5 a.m. I wake up. Right? And this is what I do with my clients too. So 5 a.m. I wake up. Right from there, I drink 20 ounces of water. And then I go into Wim Hof breathing techniques. And I do about 15 to 20 minutes of yoga after that. I'm a beginner in the yoga practice. That's something that I've just recently added because my mobility has been has been definitely something that I need to focus on. So I actually just hired someone as well to create me some personalized yoga videos. She's also someone that I use for Reiki and things like that as well. But it's really important for me to work on my mobility. So I do that for 20 minutes, and then from there I will go. So right now this week I'm running on the beach. So I go. It takes me 5 miles. I mean, I'm 5 miles from the ocean, so it takes me about 15 minutes. I drive to the ocean, and I run for about an hour and a half right on the ocean line. And then I go and take my kids to school. I go pick my kids up and go to school, and then I start my day.
So what time do you start your day?
So 5 a.m. right now. So 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I think I eventually am going to push to 4 a.m. But it's been I've allowed myself to progress through the process, right? So and I've allowed myself.
But
go ahead.
Don't forget, 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. you're not going to bed at midnight, and I think people need to recognize that as well, because sleep is extremely important as well in nourishing your body and your brain and getting you to reach your goals as well. So
it really is. Yeah, 10 o'clock. Yeah, 10 o'clock. I try. Right now the latest 11 o'clock generally. But I do that, pretty much Monday through Friday, and I switch up my exercise. So hiking and running. I love to hike as well and just get into nature. But that's all those things are so important for me because I remember what it was like where I was at, right? So
Right.
I want to create and facilitate that healthiness, because it's also, which you didn't touch on, which from the spiritual aspect of things is understanding that because we're energetic beings, when we get involved in exercise and breathing techniques and things like that, what we're doing is we're actually moving the energy, the stagnant energy that gets stored in our cells. So it's both science and spiritual, because the energy becomes stagnant within our body, and that's a lot of times, when we hold weight in our body and things like that, there's a lot of stagnant old energy that is stored. So when we really get involved in a practice of exercise and breathing techniques, we're allowing the energy to move through our body. And this isn't, super woo-woo spiritual stuff. This is like, You're very successful people are doing this because it's about the mind, body, and soul connection. And what I have found for me, that it keeps me more focused on what I'm putting into my body during the day, right? Now I'm consciously eating differently, right? I'm drinking water throughout the day. I'm not drinking sodas, and and again, it's been a process. It's been a journey, and I think that's the other thing that people really need when you're talking about transforming your health and your wellness. It's really important that you work here first. I started here. I had to believe that I was healthy, right? And the more I believed that I was healthy, the more that everything externally begins to line up with that. And I start to operate in that mindset. So really, one of our sayings, right? Well, not our saying, but a great saying is change your mind, change your life. And so that's where the success for me began. It began 3 years ago when I began to really condition my subconscious mind. And now I'm seeing the benefits of the mindset change. Now it's literally showing up in my external life as well, and my internal life.
Yeah, and I think the big thing, one of the things that you said is that it's a journey, and I think that a lot of people don't understand like that. We are so programmed to instant satisfaction, and we want things right away. We don't look at, oh, well, I really need to lose 40 pounds. I'm going to do this over the next year. We look at it, how can I reach this goal within the next 3 months? And it's not healthy, but that's also because there's so much thrown in our faces all the time. So you kind of have to recognize that and be a part of that journey. Dr. Diamond posted something yesterday, and he said, if you change 1% of what you do every day, by the end of the year, you will have changed 365% of your daily daily activities. And I was like, well, what exactly does that mean? How can I like think of this? And he wrote back to me, which was awesome. But he said, he was like, for instance, I started drinking one more glass of water every day. That was my 1%. And by the end of the year, you know what that's going to accumulate for me and how much healthier I'm going to be from that. So if you start to look at things in terms of that and become more results driven than instant, gratification and satisfaction, then you're gonna over time succeed. Versus I want this right now, mommy. It's you have to be more results driven, and being results driven is really key. It doesn't matter how big or how long you worked on the plan, pivot. If your plan isn't working, it's telling you something, it's warning you, it's telling you to change and to follow the different direction. So whether that's, working out, or it's trying to achieve, becoming a CEO or whatever the case may be, just getting a job, be results driven and you're going to get somewhere. You're going to be more successful than just saying, I want this, or trying to put 1,000% into something and not allow the journey to really take place,
Yeah, I think, it's interesting because for me, because there's that motto, right? It's like hustle and grind, right? Hustle and grind. And I think and this is just coming from, again, my kind of spiritual insights. I don't know if I necessarily fully agree with the hustle and grind mentality, because it's like you're fighting something, right? What I have found successful for me, again, is going back to the mindset. So the more that I align with, I am healthy, I am balanced, I am wellness, like I am wholeness, then what happens is I begin to fall in love with everything that makes that my reality, right? So I'm not grinding and hustling. I'm going out and I'm running 6 miles because I'm loving it, right? I'm not grinding and hustling because I'm eating the things that I want to eat because I love feeling the way I feel. Like I'm not hustling and grinding to create a business or to create a podcast or to go on podcasts because it's what I love to do, right? So it's like, that's why for me, and that brings the results that we're talking about that you just shared with, right? And it's so powerful because the results are really found in our ability to fall in love with life, like to fall in love with being me and really like enjoying my life. And I think sometimes what I have seen in my own life and what I have seen in other people's lives is that their success is like this thing that they need to do versus the state of who they are, right? Success is about who we are, not necessarily what we achieve. And so when we live from that place, now we create from that mindset, and it's a whole nother way of living. And I can say that from being an athlete and, like all the, because I used to like hate the things that I thought were going to be difficult in my life, like, going to work out to play for football or something, because I wasn't in love with the lifestyle. I wasn't in love with who I was. And so it was a constant battle. And I think that's why so many people, how many people start January 1st with all these new things, and by February or March, because they haven't changed the mindset, they haven't changed their belief system about who they are. If I'm healthy, then everything is going to align with that. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that leads us really to the next part and discussion in this discussion that we're having, which is, what does success mean to you? I think you have to be very clear in what success means to you. Some people will say, oh, well, success means, big house, cars, vacations, this and that. But success to some other people may just be like having a loving family. Success could be, running a mile. You have to define your success and what you're trying to achieve and what success means to you to be able to actually get there. And again, with the excuses, there's so many excuses that we pull in, right? I can't do this. It's too hard. I don't want to sweat, which I've heard before, or I work and, by the time I get home, I'm too tired and I'm this and I'm that. There's all of these excuses that we kind of pull into these things, and you have to silence that. So really being organized in your thought process of what success means to you is 100% the first step in realizing your vision, executing your mission, and becoming successful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. And I think, you hit it. And so I got to ask you, what's success to you? What's success to you, Erin?
Success to me is
put you on the spot.
Yeah, like really? No, success to me is 100% having my kids live a very happy, fulfilling life. I want them to see the world and to be joyful and happy and healthy and do the things that they want to do, and I want them to be successful. So if I can provide my kids with a very happy life where they're always in this kind of living this kind of magical life, then that's going to be a big success for me. Success for me in terms of other aspects of my life, like, in terms of my weight, it's something that I've struggled with. We touched on it on our first episode a little bit, but
let's
it's
not call that an episode. All right.
It was a but I think for me, I was always very thin, and then my 20s hit, and I was hit with 3 different autoimmune issues that contributed to my weight. I also didn't eat right, and I was an athlete my whole life, and then I just stopped doing everything and exercise. I did nothing, and so that contributed to it as well. So I think success for me would be to finally reach my goal of losing the weight that I want to be. And I'm not looking for a certain number. I'm just looking to be comfortable in my own skin, where I stop judging myself for the way that I look and learn to love myself more for the person that I am.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting emotional, but that is, to me, that would be a big success in my life.
Wow.
And career-wise, I have done a bunch of different things in my life, and I think, my book is something that's very important to me. I would love to see my children's books just really make it. They're very important to me. My second one is being written, is already written, but it's being published right now. And each book has a message. My first book was Love and Acceptance, Hope and Home, about the spider who finds a home for Christmas. And then this next one is going to be about all people coming together. And it's not people, it's spiders and bugs, and it's a children's book. But each book portrays a message. And if that message were to resonate with the world, it would be a beautiful thing. So if I could get that to happen, that would be success for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. You forgot to mention our podcast. You forgot to mention our friggin'
podcast.
What the fuck is wrong with you, Erin? I mean, that's
tired.
That's
You're
it.
Out.
It's over. New co-host.
No, but this as well. Like this is very important to me, and just like my books and delivering messages and helping and getting kids to realize messages and adults to also take that next step and break the chains that bind them and rise and start shining every day. That would be incredible to me, because that's another part of success, is giving back, giving away, giving to others, and helping others in this life as well. Yeah. So if I can do that and help even one person, then that would make me very successful too. So, and I think those are pretty good success goals.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff? You're not getting off the hook.
So I'm going to pivot a little bit on success. So really, because of, of my life and, the darkness that I've experienced throughout my life. And I know we've all experienced different levels of darkness. But a lot of mine, through the disease of addiction and mental health issues, a lot of it was self-inflicted. But success to me, man, it's really as simple as being who I am right now, right? Like, it's so simple, and yet it's so profound, because living from who I am in this moment is success to me, because I'm beneficial to my children this way. I'm beneficial to what I'm creating. Now creation becomes part of a game, right? Like, because I've fallen in love with being me.
Right.
I'm and you had said it too. You said self-love. And really, ultimately, for your children, or for my children, when we operate from this place of self-awareness and self-love and really, really do the inner work, we ultimately are giving our children and our loved ones and all the people that we can everything that we are, because we're living from a full cup, right? And so we get to create from that place. And so that is the success for me. And I know that sounds cliche maybe, or corny, but it is. And don't get me wrong. I've got a really big vision, and it. I've shared it with you. I mean, I'm going to touch a lot of people with my life, with my stories, with my heart, because I feel like I carry something that is inspirational and motivational, right? Like a lot of what our podcast is about. I feel like I have the energy, the vibration, if you will, or the words to inspire people, because I've been to the bottom of bottoms, right? Suicide attempts, prison, intravenous heroin and meth addiction. I mean, I've been to the bottom of bottoms. And so, that becomes my vision. My goal is to really impact people's lives, to help people really transform their own inner world and see that life-changing thing that takes place that I've experienced. Because, and I'm not saying that there aren't hard days. As a matter of fact, the last couple of days have, I've been triggered through some things and things like that, but it's just different, right? Like, I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying this. I mean, the fact that we're on this podcast is just mind-blowing to me, because I used to tell people 2 years ago, even the last job I was at, when I was about to leave it, I was like, make sure you guys, because I moved away, so I don't see them anymore. I was like, make sure you guys watch my podcast. Make sure. And I had no friggin' idea, but I knew that this was part of the vision, just like I know that having seminars and in-person experiences and retreats and all of that is part of it as well. And so success to me, Aaron, is honestly like waking up in the morning and like deciding to go for a run and spend time with my children. I'll tell you what, I'll leave you with this last thought. One of the greatest fulfillments that I have had in a very long time is being the head coach of my youngest son's flag football team right now. It has been a fulfillment that I've literally been dreaming about for the past few years as I rebuilt my life and put the pieces back together. And so, when you're in that moment and you realize, you're like, wow, like I dreamt about this, like this was a dream of mine, and wow, it actually took place. I created it. I've restored things, and I'm still healing a lot of things with my children, and I realize that I've got a lot of work to do there, but it's just such a blessing to see the restoration of things in my life. So to me, that is success, right? Seeing that restoration and rebuilding life and all of that. So, yeah.
But you also wouldn't have been able to get to this point or realize these things if it weren't for the things that you are doing in your life, which I think brings us back to the core of this conversation. There are things that you can do in your life to become successful and to reach your goals. You just have to start with some of the things that we've outlined for you, and you will be able to get there if you do these steps, And like I said, nobody has all of the answers, but we're definitely here to try to provide you with some and to motivate you and inspire you to live life to the fullest.
Yeah, it's that's what it's all about, right? Living life to the fullest, because and like you said earlier, success it can mean so many different things. It can mean so many things. And I just want to see people. I just want to see people lit up. You ever look at someone and you're just like, man, that person is just friggin' loving. It's lit up. It's really amazing when you see people like that, and I think we need it. As especially as a nation, right? Yeah. I think one of the struggles that I see is that so many of us, we're kind of just, a lot of people are just existing at some level, and I think, I've seen it in loved ones that I've been doing work with, and it's just, I just want to see people know that anything is possible. I wear it on my wrist, right? It says believe anything is possible, and really we can reshape our life. But if what do they teach? Insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result. And that's ultimately, and if I had to leave someone with a thought tonight, I would say that's ultimately about a belief system that you have about yourself, right? And so that's why we, again, change your mind, change your life. If you change your belief system about who you are, then everything begins to change in your life. But you have to actually deal with those belief systems, because a lot of it is self-value and worth. And that will create success in people's lives for sure.
And you also, one of the things you said before, which I just want to reiterate, is you can't be scared of failure, because through failure and from failure comes success. It's where most times your best ideas, your best solutions as to why you failed, which then pivots you to the journey you're supposed to be on, the roadway you're supposed to be on. It's when you pivot in that action moment and you say, oh, this is my plan and it's not going well, and it all blows up and you fail. Those are the moments when you are able to pick up the pieces, do it better, and succeed in the end. So failure 9 times out of 10 does lead to success. You can't be scared of it. You have to embrace it, and you have to just keep going. Even if you fail 10 times, you will get there at some point. Never quit, right? You never quit, because in this life, we don't lose. You either win or you learn, which is one of my favorite quotes. And if you can hold on to that, it's almost like this too shall pass. If you say to yourself, like, I never lose, I either win or I learn, you're going to get there. And you just have to keep holding on, keep that faith, take those leaps of faith, never ever quit. And never let anyone diminish your dreams. Don't let anyone turn that light out on you. It's been done to all of us 1,000 times. Don't ever do that to yourself, because it's a sad day when you do. When that light goes out and you let your dreams go because someone didn't think what you were trying to do or accomplish was worthy, or they made a sarcastic joke about it or laughed or whatever the case may be, that's dimming your light. Surround yourself with people who believe in you and who have the same mindset and who want to blow up in their lives and expand and grow and learn and get out in nature and exercise and do these things. Don't let anyone take you down and ruin that. That is so important in your journey and success.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that too, because I'm going to touch on that. So Brene Brown says that, listen, if the individual isn't in the arena, then I don't give a shit what they have to say. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not showing up and you're not in the arena and you're not living your life in a way that, like, is inspiring to me, then don't come and tell me or try to damper my dreams because you have vinegar in your water, right? Like Absolutely. Just like, and I think it's really important for people to realize that. Don't listen to people that aren't in the arena.
Right.
It's just, and also you had said, don't lose your dream. And I think it's also important for people to realize that you can create different dreams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, if one dream kind of didn't work or is gone in your mind or whatever it is, like, and that goes back to what you said earlier, pivoting, right? But create a dream, because that's where we live. If we don't have a dream, if we don't have an inspiration or an aspiration, or, you know, if we're not like dreaming about what we can create or what we can do, that's when we begin to die. And that's where I found myself struggling going back, was I lost hope of tomorrow. You know?
Yeah, and I also think it's very important that people recognize that, you know, we talk about successful people a lot. A lot of successful people, they're not involved in one thing. They're involved in multiple things, multiple businesses that have nothing to do with the other, because you're entitled to do whatever you want in life within reason, and in talks of like dreaming and reaching goals, and create. If you have a vision and you really want to do something, go for it. If it's opening up a coffee shop and the next thing is becoming a professional wrestler, by all means, do it. Who says you can't do both? Why would you limit yourself? This life, we have this life. We're on earth for however long we're blessed to be on earth. Carpe diem. Go for it. Don't deny yourself. I'm a creative person. I've done whatever I've set out to do, you know, knock on wood. I've been very fortunate. I've followed my dreams, and I've accomplished a lot of what I've set out to do in life in terms of like working and stuff like that. But they've been all over with the things that I've done, from event planning to journalism to writing a book, and they, you know, running a very small charity. They all kind of roll into one another in some weird way, but don't ever let anyone dim your light. Do it all. You are the ruler of your life. Own it and go for it.
Yeah, you know, it's powerful too, you know, and I think that's an important message that you just shared as a mom, you know, because I think that, you know, what you represent, you know, I know that your husband is not home often because he travels for business, and you're raising two little girls, and yet you've written a book, and you're journalism, and you're doing the podcast, and you've got your own 501, and you know you've got your own business, and you know you've done all this, and it really goes to honor, I think, and I've got to say this because I think the feminine power is rising, and I think it's really, really powerful, because I think women are so much. I mean, I think a lot of us are awakening to it, but women are really, like, you make me feel weak sometimes, you know? You know, women can friggin' do so much. And you know, I even give my ex-wife credit with that. You know, I see her right now working a full-time job, you know, taking care of the house things with the children, and you know, I've got a 14 and a 12-year-old, so they're a pain in the neck sometimes, right?
They're boys too, so
yeah, but you know,
they're big pain in the butt.
Yeah, exactly. They think they know everything. They're just like their father.
Yeah, wonder where they get that from.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where they got that from, but you know, but no, it's. I think, you know, it's really important for us to recognize that, you know, women are so much more than just moms, right? I mean, and I think we are awakening to that universally, but I think it's, you know, you are the pure example of that reality, and so I honor you for continuing to go after your dreams while still being mom.
And I just want to touch on that, and thank you so much for saying that, because I really appreciate it. If you are a mom, don't you ever feel pressured that you have to be anything more than a mom.
Ooh, that's good.
If that is what you want to be in life, do not feel pressured by society to get a job, to do this, to do that, to be this all-encompassing mom, because I've gotten myself caught in that trap 100 times. You know, when you're at home with I have two kids, so I'll just, you know, use me for an example, but with two kids all day long, no adult conversations, you're running rampant. I keep a very clean home and a very organized home, and there's chaos and there's this and that. You start to lose yourself and lose your identity. So then you start trying to do all of these different things and get involved in different ways and try to work remotely and try to do this and try to do that. And then you really get very overwhelmed and you lose your path. Don't feel that being a mom isn't enough, because I actually tend to think that we need more just moms in this world. But at the same time, do what works for you.
Yeah.
Just don't ever feel pressured.
Yeah.
If you want to be a mom and stay home with your kids, by all means, do it, rock it, love it. If you want to be a mom who goes out and works and raises their kids and does this, by all means, do it and rock it. Women are like superheroes. We really can do it all, but that doesn't mean that we have to. And I think there's so much pressure in society for us to.
Yeah.
And I would like to see, you know, like I said, sometimes I get involved in too many things, and I just would like to see more moms take a deep breath, pat yourselves in the back. And if you want to be, you know, just a mom, be that mom and rock it, you know?
Yeah. I think that's a beautiful point. And I think because, you know, that's going back to that choice of what success is to the individual, right? And I think that, you know, being a mom, you know, listen, as a man, I look back when I lived with my ex-wife and I realized that, like, she did so much more, right? Than she always held the house together. And, you know, being a mom full time is no joke. Like, it's just, especially, you know, when they're little and younger, and, you know, just, and that goes to being a father too. Like, you know, we're fathers and mothers now forever, right? And so I think that whatever that looks like for you, own it, you know, and do it. But just, I think women are really strong. They really are. It really baffles my mind sometimes how much women seem to be able to, like, manage, you know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hats.
Yeah. By the way, I'm single, women.
Call them. Your number flashes across the screen. Oh dear Lord, we're gonna have to have a show where we, like, set up like your dating.
Oh goodness.
Like, we'll do like a whole dating episode.
Oh my.
And we'll
goodness.
find you someone.
I don't.
We have to. That could be one of your visions of success. A good, healthy, happy relationship, right?
It is. I've got. That's, you know, one of the things I'm ready for finally. You know, I've had to heal from so much, you know, and I really needed these last few years to really just really work on me, because I had a lot of shit inside of me.
Think about how powerful that is, though.
Yeah.
That you were able to figure that out and, you know, really focus on you and do what you needed to do to be successful and get to this point in being able to open up your heart to somebody again. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's a blessing.
Success,
you know?
is big.
Yeah, it's a blessing, because I needed it for where I'm going, you know? And I recognize that, and I'm totally fully aware of the grace upon my life. Like, I realized that I needed to go through all the things to learn breath work, to learn meditation, to unlearn, you know, my religious beliefs, and learn truth for me, and all the things that I needed to go through, and all the thousands of hours that I've studied, you know, all these these improvements, and becoming fully aware of my emotional intelligence, and, like, tapping into my spiritual gifts, and really, so it was something that I really needed because of where I'm going. You know, it was almost like I created that space so that I could get everything downloaded and go through the healing process and go through all that. And I'm grateful for it. I'm truly grateful for it.
But that's the thing is like we've kind of touched on a bunch of times, you all have to realize that it's a journey. It is not going to happen tomorrow. If you set up an action plan, if you get organized in your thoughts, if you define what success is, if you start daily routines that are going to inspire and motivate you to reach your goals and be better, if you can recognize your goals and truly recognize them, not just say, I want a new job. How are you going to get that new job? Lay that all out. You know, if you do all of these things and start focusing on mastering that part of your life instead of all of the little things, then you're going to succeed.
Yeah.
So, take it from Jeff, take it from me, from some aspects of my life. I'm still a work in progress. We all are.
I'm not. I told you I know
really,
everything.
really well.
I told you
He's
I know
doing really well. So
I know everything already.
But
I'm just kidding.
That's it. But then you will get there. So just and I think we're gonna put some of this stuff up over the next week. We'll add it to Instagram and Facebook and some of the things we touched on, and maybe Jeff will do a breathing video for you guys to try to practice a little bit too, and we can start working on those things. And when you start to really set your day and focus on you'll get there. You will.
Yeah. So Erin, where can everybody find us?
Okay, so you're here. If you're watching us right now, you're here. So on Instagram, you can find us at, oh God, what is it?
Rise and Start Shining
_podcast, right?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me just double check it, because I'm now all like over the place.
That's
it is.
right.
It's Rise and spell out Start Shining _podcast. That's on Instagram.
We'll link
and
it.
Jeff,
how about we link them? We'll link them as well.
Yeah, we'll add it to the comments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Jeff also woo, tongue twister, also has his private page on Instagram, which is
Jeff Walsh _breaking chains, and actually our private tags are scrolling on the bottom, so they can see that. And we'll, like I said, we'll tag it. What about your? Do you have a Facebook? What's your what's that one?
So I am both on Facebook as well as on Instagram. I'm Happy Holidays by Frankly Ferguson. I inspire people through my designs, my party and holiday designs and stuff like that, to live magical lives through all the little holidays that pop up throughout the year. I think we need to be inspired to just really have fun with life, and if I can help you make your little holidays a little bit more magical, then that's another success to check off my list. So go follow me, folks.
Awesome.
And on there you could find my website. On my website you'll find I do monthly recipes. I have my book information is on there, all different kinds of things. So you could find my website on there, and you could find Jeff's website on his pages as well.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and so for those of you listening on Spotify and Apple Podcast and iHeart and all of those other platforms, you can find me at Jeff Walsh _breaking chains Instagram, or really any platform Jeff Walsh Breaking Chains. So you can find me Facebook, Instagram, actually TikTok as well. I do a lot
Your
of
website.
Yeah, my
is
website.
Jeff Walsh Breaking Change.
Yep, JeffWalshBreakingChains.com. Definitely go check out some of my story there and see how I went from a corporate success to a drug addict, homeless, broken, and eventually served time in prison, and then have rebuilt my life and really transformed my life over the last 6 years. So a lot of
when we
go ahead.
When we talk about success, it's coming from experience. We're not just throwing things out there. There's, like I said, Jeff is definitely farther along on his journey than I am, but there is a lot of experience that Jeff is speaking from. So, if you are looking to pivot and start moving in the right direction, he is definitely your guy.
Thanks, Erin. And don't sell yourself short. Come on. By the way,
I've succeeded, but you're just farther along than me.
You've written a book. I'm friggin' jealous.
I've written 2 books. The second one just isn't out yet.
Yeah. So that's hugely successful. You've been on, So, but it's definitely. I think we bring something different, and we're continuing.
sure.
We're both continuing to grow, and actually we're learning to push each other, and so yeah, definitely we appreciate everybody joining us, and we will be live every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Facebook, and 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook. So if you're listening to this again on any of the other platforms and you want to come join us live, you can check us out every Tuesday evening. Again, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and leave a little outro, as we call it, I guess, right? And we look forward to connecting to you all again soon. And thank you so much for spending this time with us and listening and sharing your energy and space with us, because I know that you could be spending your time and your energy somewhere else, and you chose to spend it with us. And we truly, truly are grateful and appreciative of that. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Rise and Start Shining, a Breaking Chains podcast. You can follow us on our social media platforms through the links listed on the screen below. Remember to always rise and start shining and live your best life by breaking the chains that bind you. Inspiration, motivation, determination. Let's go.